Hello, everyone, and welcome to the show Beyond Belief. I'm Sabine, your host, and today I have a great guest. Larry, welcome.
Hello.
Larry was born in Montreal and grew up in London, Paris, and Vancouver. He is actually living in London, UK. He has been working as a professional psychic medium for over 15 years, using his intuitive gift to read the aura, chakra, and to pass on messages from the spirit world. He is working with people from all over the world, and he is also working at the College of Psychic Studies in London, UK. Among everything, Larry is also a certified life coach and intuitive counselor, a sound healer, teacher, and Reiki master. He has studied and worked as a music therapist. He is accredited by the College of Sound Healing in the UK. But before we dive into today's discussion, I'm excited to announce my upcoming soul retreat in Bali from June 16 to 22. Don't miss it. This retreat promises to be an incredible transformation. Imagine what could happen if you dedicated an entire week to yourself, nurturing, exploring nature, inner work, coaching, and healing and being surrounded by people who support you. It's a soulful gateway where you explore your true self. Also on April 20, 21, 27, and 28, I facilitate a workshop on animal communication, starting from beginners to advanced. Be careful, the next workshop is only in 25. I have also an accelerated class of channeling coming up. And the last one is the Awakened Badass Solopreneur. This is a 3 months intensive course, and the title speaks for itself. The detail, you can find it on my website through the page upcoming workshop. Now, let's embark into another episode of Beyond Belief. And the subject today will be psychic mediumship and life coaching. Larry, please, can you tell me how did you start your journey into psychic mediumship and life coaching? Because if I understood correctly, you use your psychic mediumship to coach people. And I can say for you guys who are watching us now, in coaching, he is perfect. Larry, can you explain to the audience, please?
Thank you for that lovely introduction, Sabine. Yeah, when I was a young child and a teenager, I always used to see leprechauns as white misty people running in front of me. And sometimes that night when I'd be going to bed, my sister was already in bed because she was younger than me, or still is. And I'd open up her bedroom door and I would get told off by my parents. They would say, "What are you doing? Going into her bedroom, waking her up. You're not supposed to be waking her up." And I would tell them about these white misty people I would see. And they say, "Don't be so stupid. Go back to bed, blah, blah, blah." And even in the daytime, it'd be a beautiful sunny day. I'd be playing my guitar in the garden, the back garden. And all of a sudden, I see these white misty people. And they were always in a rush, always running. And also as a teenager, when I used to stare at people, I would see all these colors around them, which of course was their auras. And I started reading all these books when I was about 16, because my mother used to come home from the library with all these books about different mediums. And without her knowing about it, I would just sneak the books when she'd finish reading it, think, "What's these books? These look interesting." So for some unknown reason, I was always drawn to what's called, I don't know, spiritual things like healing, psychics, mediums, dowsing, remote viewing. And so as I started reading these books, I kept thinking, wow, this is fascinating. And in London, there's an organization called the SAJB, Spiritual Association of Great Britain. And as a teenager, I used to go there all the time to do their workshops or go for readings. And it used to be a really spooky building, but they've moved since then. And I used to hear all these elderly people talk about these amazing things about like tables floating up in the air and I used to sit there. They used to have a canteen, and I used to think, wow, these people are really weird, because I'd sit there drinking my tea really slow so I could eavesdrop on these amazing stories. And so, of course, I would join what's called a circle, which is where you are trained by a medium, as it were, and you start
Mhm.
allowing your natural abilities to
Yeah.
unfold. So that was the beginning of my training, really, and exposure.
Mm. Can you explain to the audience, because I'm sure many people are knowing that already, but many newcomers maybe don't know. This podcast is also for the beginners. Then are you ready to learn? Larry, can you explain in 2 words what is psychic mediumship?
Yeah, very good question, Sabine. Many people get confused by this. And what a psychic medium is, a psychic is somebody who reads somebody's energies. So let's pretend you're my client. I would be reading the energies I pick up on from you, because everything we have in life is in our energy field or aura. Whether it's the time we were in the womb, some psychics can pick up what happened when they were just before they were born. And everything that's happened for me from childhood up to your present time is in your auric field. And so when you see a psychic, they're tuning into your energy. So they tell you all about you, maybe your potential. They might say, even though you might not be doing this at the moment, I see you have a potential to do this. So as human beings, we have free will. So it's up to us to explore what a psychic might tell us. Now, mediumship, when you see a medium doesn't really give you information about yourself. They're connecting with your loved ones in the spirit world from where we all come from. So when we leave this physical vessel, this physical body, we go back to what's called the spiritual world. So a medium gives evidence of survival, whether it's your lovely pet you've lost, or you've lost your daughter, your child, your grandmother, your parent, whoever it is. And by them giving you what's called specific evidence, the recipient, the sitter, the client should be able to go, wow, that's exactly my mom. That's what she used to do. That's what she used to say. So that's the difference between a psychic and a medium.
Mhm. Thank you for the clarification, because as you know already, I like to demystify everything. The word also spirit, I've noticed, and not only in the region where I'm based, I'm in Middle East, Dubai. Even in Belgium, from where I'm coming from, I remember younger, I was often going into spiritism center, uh, and the word spirit was making more than one person freaking out. And today I want also to demystify, because between the word soul and spirit is exactly the same. A soul is a spirit. You get my point? And I would like you to explain in much more detail to really make understanding some of the audience who are still, unfortunately, be scared with the word spirit. And I'm sure, unfortunately, they still have many, because we all have been programmed in a bad way. And even me, when I was a child, until I understood that a spirit is not a bad thing, it's just a soul. But please, go on.
Well, as you correctly said, Sabine, we've been conditioned or badly educated or incorrectly educated, whether it's through organized religion or maybe parents or teachers trying to scare us, or even Hollywood movies that like to really exaggerate, spirit, or it's an evil being, etc., etc. So spirit, if somebody says to you, who are you? Who we are, we're spiritual beings having a human existence. So we're all energy beings. We can replace the word spirit with energy, because when we go back to the spirit world, we're energetic beings. When I see spirit, I don't see them as a human being. I see them all made of light, but they look like a human form, but they're of light. And they don't speak with their mouth because they don't have a physical body. So how do they communicate with us? Is by sending us impressions. For example, when a piano fell on me in 2006, when I was teaching at a university, it nearly killed me. I had what's called an OBE, out of body experience.
Okay.
So I'm floating outside my body, and I saw my physical body lying on the ground. And at first, I didn't realize I was having an OBE because it all happened so quick. And I was floating around going, gosh, this is interesting. What's going on? And then I was trying to talk to myself and talk to the people in the classroom at the university, but nobody could hear me. And I was thinking, this is weird. Why is nobody looking at me? Why is no one listening? I'm over here, not over there. And then the firemen finally came, and they had these huge scissors. They were tearing up my trousers. And I said to them, I charge extra for that because I was making a joke. And then I'm saying to myself, it's funny, nobody's laughing at my jokes. What's going on here? And that's when I realized I was floating around. I was in this dark void, but I felt really good. I was completely alive, fully alert what's going on. And I didn't even care about being back in my physical body because I felt so good. Because if you read books about people who have near-death experiences, you'll often read about how you feel this unconditional love, this amazing energy that we don't really feel here. And that's
Yeah.
what I was feeling. I was just feeling like, wow, this just feels great. I feel so relaxed, so like aloof to everything. And then I heard this huge voice came out of nowhere. I don't know. I couldn't see anyone. You have to go back. Your time hasn't come to stay here. And I was thinking, well, I don't want to go back. And as soon as I said that, it's like I was sucked right back into my physical body. And then it's like, oh, I could feel all that pain from that piano falling on me. The firemen had put a oxygen mask on me and they're slapping my face. They're trying to get me to say my name. And I was like, oh, I was like half awake, half like back. And I'm going, where am I? What happened to that beautiful feeling I had? So for me, that's a personal confirmation of what I do know, that we don't supposedly die. We exist, we continue living, we continue existing, but we're in a different energetic form. So, for example, if we have liquid water and we freeze it, it becomes an ice cube. We can see it with our physical eyes, we can touch it. If we melt that ice cube, it becomes liquid. Again, we can see it, we can stick our finger in it. But if we continue heating that water, it becomes vapor, and we go, wow, that's a good magic trick, Sabine. Where did the water go? People who don't understand science, the water, the molecules, H2O is still there, but it's gone, become vapor, and it's up in the atmosphere, eventually to come back down as rain or snow. And that's exactly what spirit is. If we get rid of that word spirit or replace it with the word energy, we can say we're all energy beings, energetic beings. And that's why energetic healing is so powerful and it works, whether it's Reiki or any other modality,
Yeah.
shamanic healing. It doesn't matter the terminology, is because it's working on our energy body, which is overlapping with our physical body.
Wow, great explanation. I know all of these, and I have one question because I'm sure this is one of the questions we will receive from the audience. After your out of body experience, how did you feel? Did that experience change your life completely? Can you explain?
Well, after I had that experience, because when you have an experience that's so emotionally charged up like that, you can't stop thinking about it. I kept thinking, where was that place I was at? Why didn't I see the white tunnel? Why didn't I see angels like in books I'd read? So a near-death experience is when you do go through that white tunnel. An out-of-body experience is what I had. You're just floating outside your body. So that's one thing I learned. And because I was heavily damaged, I had an energy healer come to start working on me because I knew I had to get rid of the trauma in my auric field as well. So as she was working on me, I'm sitting there on my Reiki table with my eyes closed, and I had this huge vision of a man who came. And to me, it looked like Jesus. I don't know if it was Jesus, but he was a very serene, powerful, energetic being. And even though my eyes were closed, I'm thinking, gosh, am I hallucinating? Because when you have these very powerful visions, it's very real. I could see the color of his eyes, his skin tone, everything. And he was communicating to me. I was getting all this information in my mind. And I'm looking at him going, how am I hearing him? He's not even moving his mouth. He's just looking at me. So he was telling me things like, don't worry, you're not going to die. You have to start focusing on your spiritual work. Your time has come. You have to be more confident with yourself. You're not confident. And he's giving me all this information like that. I'm thinking, gosh, who is this person? I was like so blown away, not by the information he was giving me, but like I was just transfixed, staring at him nonstop, thinking, who the heck is this person? And then the vision just disappeared. But because it was so vivid, it's something you just never forget. It stays with you.
Yeah, correct. Wow, amazing, huh? That's not
Mm,
every day we have an out of body experience. This
no.
is why I was insisting on that. I have another question for you. Can you tell me what is motivating you to do this work? Because,
Yeah.
that's not something easy. Myself, I do it on daily basis, and there have some
Mm,
days I'm like, what the heck am I doing? Why I do this? But then
mm,
I come back to my inner self and I realize I'm like, yeah, okay, now I know why I do it.
yeah. Hmm. Yeah. Another good question, Sabine. So if we had no money on the planet anymore, money did no longer exist, would I still be doing this kind of work I do? Well, let's call it my spiritual work. The answer is yes, because I'm like a magnet. I've tried giving up my spiritual career. I've tried giving up my music career because I used to be a full-time musician. But because it's part of my DNA, we could say, part of my soul, what makes my soul sing, it feeds my soul, it energizes me. I've always gone back to playing music, even though I don't do music professionally anymore. I still teach a few students part-time. And my spiritual work, which I do full-time, I've tried many times to give it up, thinking, maybe I really need to go back to doing music full-time or something like that. It feels like there's a void in my life, like something's missing. So when I go back to my so-called spiritual career and I work with clients, it's the most amazing feeling in the world. It's not how much you get paid. It's to see them uplifted, some form of transformation, some form of healing happening, awareness, empowerment. It just makes your soul, your heart sing. It makes you feel so good thinking, wow, it's like I just lit a candle and they didn't know that they could light a candle so they can see their way in the dark, as it were. So it's the most amazing feeling when you work with people. And not that I'm the most amazing so-called healer, psychic medium in the world, but it's amazing when you've touched someone or allowed your soul to touch their soul, so their soul can start becoming more open, unfolding their innate abilities, their healing abilities, so they can start becoming more empowered. And as they feel more good and vibrant, they too can be in a position to help other people that might benefit from their help as well.
Yeah, and finally they can shine and they feel fulfilled. That's
Yeah,
the
absolutely.
ultimate goal, I would say, for each and every one. You know, you were speaking about your past career as a musician. It reminded me something with me in finance, because I'm sure you know, after 18 years in finance, I've been literally pushed to do what I do, because honestly, I didn't want to do that at the beginning. And then they did everything, I'm speaking about my guides, to keep me in a certain way that I cannot go back in finance. And every time I was trying, because at that moment, I knew this is my calling. And today I'm really happy of what I do. But until you understand, and I'm explaining that for the audience, because I'm sure many of you are still in this situation where you don't know if you need to go there or go there, because we all have been, and I'm sure for you, it was not an easy choice at that time to embrace completely the spiritual path, because it's always the unknown. And that's the biggest problem for each one of us. And I remember for myself, they were telling me, don't try to go back in finance. The door is closed. And I was like, oh. You know, I didn't listen. Oh my God. I banged my head literally to the wall, because I took another job and another job. The first one, he didn't give me the visa. The second one, the colleague, she falsified the file. And I was like, what the heck? But it's because I didn't listen. You know, when you have to embrace your calling, one path, not there, it's there. And again, that's what was making my heart singing. Not finance. I liked finance for a certain time, but this didn't make my heart singing. And I'm happy that you shared this experience as a musician and then transitioning fully into the spiritual world. Yeah, thank you for that. I would like to ask you now, what the work you do, what can it bring exactly to people? Again, that's the same thing. Most of you knows, but for the newcomers, that would be great that you say exactly what it can bring to people, why they would come to you, let's say this way, and why they have to come.
Well, first of all, they don't have to come.
I mean, when I say why they have to come, it's because myself, I know that it's very useful. Very useful.
Well, for me, it's a bit like when I used to be a full-time musician, I would still go and have guitar and violin lessons. And even though I was a very, quote, successful, famous musician, my friends would say, why are you still spending money trying to have lessons? You're already famous. You're already brilliant at what you do. You're well known, blah, blah, blah. You're so good at what you do. There's always this inner calling. I wonder what else I could learn. So it's the same with spirituality, we could say. When people come to me, whether it's my intuitive life coaching, for example, when I work with them, they've realized they're in the wrong job, or they don't have a job, bad relationship, not relationship. So I work with them to allow them to realize, it's all about learning to use the mind. Einstein said our greatest tool is our imagination. Many of us use our imagination to focus on what's called scarcity, limitation, fear. Oh, I don't have enough money. Well, I'll never get that. Versus, wow, I know I don't have it right now, but I know I'm going to get it. So it's all about training people, educating people correctly to realize that we truly are empowered beings. We're unlimited beings, but we haven't been educated this way from a young age at school. At school, it's been what's called parrot learning way. Hey, if you don't repeat this information that we need to learn, whether it's history, geography, a language, mathematics, etc., then we're labeled dumb or stupid just because we cannot remember or repeat what a teacher wants us to repeat. The spiritual world, or the law of the universe, you could say, doesn't care about how much book knowledge you have. Everything is based on energy. Money is a byproduct of what we do in life. Everything's energy. When people say to me, oh, I'd love to be in a relationship, what they're really saying is they'd love to attract another energetic being where the energy vibrates together. So there's a beautiful consolidation of energy vibrating together. It's aligned energy. Same when we follow our soul's work. When we do what our soul wants us to do, what we came here to do, and follow a soul contract, things flow a lot more. For example, with my spiritual work, I hardly use social media, yet I'm always generating or attracting what's called clients. And that's the way it works. When you're vibrating a certain frequency, for example, the law of attraction, the primary law is called the law of vibration, meaning whatever we're vibrating on a daily basis is what comes to us, good or bad. So many people, of course, are generating or attracting the same old things they don't want, which is lack, limitation, scarcity, the same kind of bad relationships, or they go from one job to the next, and after 2-3 months, they end up in the same situation, unpleasant situation. Is because instead of living from the outside in, we need to live from the inside out. In other words, instead of being influenced by what's happening in our outside world right now, we need to use our imagination, stay focused by using specific tools that I teach to my clients and techniques. Okay, what is it you really want? Most people don't know what they want. So question number one would be for your listeners, okay, what is it you want? Meaning there's a difference between what you need and what you want. Many people express what they need, but that's not what you want. A want is something that makes your soul, your heart sing. Even if you didn't get paid for it, you would do it. It's something when you get up in the morning, you don't say, oh no, I have to do this. It's like, ooh, you feel excited, you're enthused to do it. And that's a want. And then when you know what you want, that's now after that, we need, okay, what tools and techniques can I start using on a daily basis to start manifesting, generating, attracting the actual things that I want? Because as human beings, if I say to a client, gosh, you're only earning X amount, you could be earning that, your yearly income on a monthly basis. Oh, that's impossible. I could never do that. I said, why? Who told you that? That's called limited thinking. We all have something called limited paradigms, which live in the subconscious mind. And a paradigm is a belief system. It's our current self-image, our current limited belief system. If we work on these tools and techniques on a daily basis, we replace those limited paradigms with empowering paradigms, because to the universe, earning £1 million or £1 million a week, a year, a month is nothing. It's our limited thinking that creates it. So many people, for example, in January in the UK, oh, New Year's Eve, my New Year's resolution, I'm going to join a gym and get
Yes, for
fit.
everyone, everywhere.
Yeah.
Yes.
So of course, what do? They join a gym. By February or March, they're no longer working out because they didn't work on the limited paradigm, which is like a limited paradigm does not like us to change. It does not like us to leave our comfort zone. It will say things say to us like, oh, you don't need to go to the gym today. You've been all last week, or, oh, you're too tired, or take a day off. So it's always not allowing us. And when we become aware that these limited paradigms are actually holding us back, we become like what I call a personal detective. We say to ourselves, aha, that's a limited paradigm trying to prevent me from moving forward with my life. Whether you want to get into shape, you want to change jobs, you want to learn a course, maybe your relationship is totally not working out. Having the courage to realize, hang on a second, there's no need to have the fear of I'll be single all my life if I leave this relationship, because fear will never go away, but we can learn to deal with fear. Just as stress will never go away, we can learn to manage stress. So when we learn to work with fear and stress, it's like the weather. The weather will always be changing. Sometimes, oh my gosh, look at the weather today, terrible day, or look at that, it's a beautiful sunny day. Well, do we let the outside world control us, or do we learn to control how we think? Because how we think creates feelings, and those feelings create our behaviors. So we need to learn not to allow the outside world to control us, but to learn to control how we think and feel, realizing we're only one thought away to change the thought that we have, which might not make us feel very good.
Yeah, totally agree with that. Amazing. The next question for you would be, do you remember any cases you had in your career, either as a coach or into psychic reading? What was the heaviest case and how did it turn?
Yeah, another good question, Sabine. Well, as an intuitive life coach, the first thing that comes to mind, I was working with a client, a woman with two young children. Her husband left her with all these debts, and she was so depressed and feeling suicidal. So she was recommended to me. So I started working with her. And one of the things she needed was a car, because with two young children, she found she really needed a car, because when she was married, she had a car, but unfortunately, when her husband left her, he left her with nothing, etc., except these big debts, left the country. And so she couldn't afford a car. So as she was working with me and I was working with her, showing her how to become accountable and, okay, let's forget what's happening currently. What is it you want? You want a car. Okay, let's look at these tools and techniques for you to manifest a car, and don't try and think how that will happen. That's not your job. All you have to do is stay focused. You want that car? Yes. Okay. Within 6 months, one of her female friends called her up and said, my husband just died and left me with 3 cars. Would you like a car? My client said, I would love a car, but I cannot pay you because I am broke. And her friend said, no, I'm not selling it to you. I want to give you a car. My husband left me with 3 cars, and one of them, or 2 of them, he's hardly ever driven. So she manifested a free car. She emails me saying, you won't believe it. This friend of mine just volunteered to give me a car. Now, I've manifested lots of things in my life where people say, gosh, you're so lucky. Because when we manifest things in our lives, people don't say, wow, you're getting really good at learning to work with what I call the principles of energy. To say, gee, Sabine, how did you get that? You're so lucky. I could never get that. Well, why not? For example, I've manifested 3 cars. I've never bought a car. People have always offered me to give me a car. And when I get one, God, how the heck did that person give you a car? Blah, 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 or whatever it is I need. So that client, she was in such a bad condition mentally and physically. And by working, she is now a very successful person, very financially well off now. And I could share lots of stories like that about different clients, men and women who had very challenging, difficult lives, but they managed to go from this bottom end here and gradually, bit by bit, like climbing a mountain, were able to get to the top and go, wow, life is so much better at the top of the mountain. I could really see what's ahead of me. It's not as bad as I thought it was when I'm at the bottom of the mountain, you see?
That's always linked to limiting belief. Huh? My podcast is
Yeah,
beyond belief, but we go to
yeah,
many levels and we swim here and go there. And what you are mentioning, it's very typical, I would say, day-to-day belief that many people have when we are passing through a difficult situation. Someone die or you divorce, you lose your job. This is very common for the moment. Many people are losing their job because that's the time they need to change career also. And we are, like we call, into the Aquarius, entering into the Aquarius time where everything is completely transformed. But what you mentioned with that person is amazing in a way that she is, let's say, frankly, in deep shit, deep
yep,
shit.
she
And
was.
finally,
Yeah.
she managed, because also, and I think this is very important, I would like that you developed a bit more, because I have the same case with some, not every client, but some of my clients. If you listen and if you are willing to do the work, willing to transform, no matter what, you will succeed because you have someone else. It's like having a coach for sport. If you want to do the exercise, you want to stretch your muscle, to develop your muscle, he cannot do it for you. He is there. He is giving you the, well, go, don't give up, blah, blah, blah. And he's giving you the motivation. But if you don't go to the gym if you don't do the exercise, if when you come back home you eat 10 pizza, well, I'm exaggerating, maybe not 10, but I mean, that's a perfect example. And I would like you to develop and give some tips and tricks, because I'm sure many people wants to change, wants to do the work, but something is missing, because like you said, with the new year resolution, and I see many, or I have people asking me, how many sessions? We don't know, because it's exactly like with a sport coach. He will never tell you how many sessions you need to have a six tab in your app. Nobody knows. Can you develop more about this, please?
Absolutely. So, like planting a seed, an experienced farmer plants many seeds, and there's something called a gestation period. They don't know exactly when that seed's going to sprout and grow. They just know, I plant the seed, I've done my job, I don't have to worry and analyze it or dig the dirt up every day. And wonder if that seed's starting to grow. They just know, I've taken inspired action. I had a thought. I need to make some more money. I need to grow some more crops. What can I grow? Maybe I can grow some more corn, some wheat, some apple trees, etc. So they take inspired action. They listen to the inspiration that we all have. They went to the shop. They made the effort. They bought the seeds. They planted the seeds. And then they know, just by watering the soil, nurturing it here and there, gradually, bit by bit, of its own accord, those seeds will start growing. Our thoughts are like our seeds. The imagination we all have is our fertile soil. So when we learn to work with our imagination and our thoughts correctly, we become more what's called, oh, that person is so lucky. Oh, can you believe what they got now? We start attracting what's called the right people for ourselves and the opportunities that come in our lives. Because again, everything's energy in life. If we get rid of people's physical body and their name, whether they're man or woman, we're really talking about somebody's energy. So for example, when I do my mediumship, I had a client once, I brought his parents in. He didn't seem very happy. He wanted to hear from his pet dog. So I brought in his pet dog, gave him the name. He was over the moon. All he wanted to hear about was his pet dog. So different people have different needs for different things in life. So there's no such thing called a formula. But just like you were saying about a sports coach, a good sports coach will give you what's called the tools, the information, the guidance. And if we don't practice on a daily basis what that sports coach tells us, or any life coach, it's no good complaining, oh, I tried that coach, they're no good. I'll try that coach. But we never actually implement the techniques, the exercises on a daily basis. We're not going to start seeing the improvement, the changes in our outside world, because we're not changing anything in our inside world, which is our current self-image. As you correctly said, Sabine, are we changing those limited beliefs to empowering beliefs? And it takes work. And because we don't see the results tomorrow, the next day, a week, oh, well, I tried that for a month, it didn't work. Well, how do you know? And it's a different time frame for everyone. Somebody might go, wow, I've only been doing this for a month. I can't believe my life is really changing. Some people could be 6 months. Maybe it could be a year. I mean, I remember in personal development, I've been reading all these books and trying everything for years when I was a full-time musician. And sometimes I'd see little bits of like, wow, maybe this is working. But I wouldn't see what I would say amazing results. It wasn't until I took this information seriously, worked on it, and even to this day, I still work on it every single day. I started noticing things shifting, different people starting to come into my life, different opportunities coming into my life unexpectedly. I mean, if we had lots of time, I could tell you all the amazing things that I've manifested. You go, oh my God, how did you get that? That's incredible. Well, it's not incredible. It's only incredible because we don't know enough about the law of manifestation. Again, we've been incorrectly educated. We're energetic beings. So wouldn't it be nice if while we're at school and teachers would say, you know, Sabine, you have chakras. You're a naturally intuitive being. Your thoughts affect how you feel. You have an auric field, you're an energetic being. Whatever you're thinking all the time produces a certain vibrational frequency. For example, when we sleep at night, here's a good tip for your listeners. Instead of focusing on reflecting on the day and what's happened to you, which most people do, as you're falling asleep, you imagine, what is it you want? You feel and you see it. Because your physical body needs to regenerate, it needs to sleep. But your energetic body, your auric field, is always vibrating. It doesn't need to sleep. So while you're physically sleeping and you start imagining what you want as you're falling asleep, you're imprinting that vibrational frequency. Because whatever thought you have, which starts in the conscious mind, it goes to the subconscious mind. And the subconscious mind does not know what's true and what's not true. So that means it believes whatever you give. And the subconscious mind works with pictures. So as you're imagining what you want at night as you're falling asleep, those words that start in your conscious mind go to your subconscious mind. The subconscious mind starts building pictures, and those pictures, they start building that vibrational frequency around us. And then bit by bit throughout the day, you'll start meeting people out the blue. Oh, I was lucky. I can't believe I met that person. Or you'll be recommended something. And that's what people say, gosh, that was lucky, wasn't it? No, it means you're working on your vibrational frequency. You're starting to change it. When we increase and raise that vibration, we become what's called stronger magnets for attracting what we want versus what we don't want.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I agreed again on that. I have a funny example because, that here where I'm living for the moment, during COVID, I will try to make it short. I cannot enter in detail because it's your interview, but just to reflect on what you just said about manifestation, COVID hit it. And here in Dubai, we have been like the first to be in lockdown, complete lockdown. And it was in March. And I will never forget at that moment, my landlord just decided to increase the rental. And I'm like, are you crazy, man, or what? It's COVID, but
Yeah.
anyway, he was living into a different world. Then I was near to the end of my contract. Then I was like, no way, I will not accept that. I will move out. That was the best opportunity of my life, which I didn't know. Then I was into an apartment and I said to myself, okay, I will write a list now. It was an A4 paper and I've written, I want either a flat ground floor with a garden, blah, 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 neighbors that are calm, or no neighbors or just one. Because I had 4 neighbors. My apartment was a L shape. Then I had 4 neighbors and one was completely crazy. She was breaking the plate at midnight, shouting on the husband, stuff like that. And one day, on the other side, the other couple, he took all the furniture and he threw it to the window. This was during COVID, And I was like, no way, I want that. And I've written clearly, I want either a villa or an apartment with this. And I let the list there. 3 months, I got this villa. And I got for a price that I called COVID price. Because I mentioned also the price that I wanted. I said, I cannot go above that. And I want my budget between this and that. I've been very clear, very precise on my list. And then I forgot, because I think this is also the key in manifestation. If you come back, it's like calling for a pizza. I'm into pizza today. I don't know why. Maybe I will order one. That's my pizza day. That's a long time I didn't eat a pizza. Maybe this is why, my subconscious mind is working. But it's exactly like you order a pizza and you say, oh, give me pineapple and this and this and that. And 5 minutes later, you call back and say, hey, did you put the pineapple and the tomato sauce and the cheese? No, you don't. It's the same for the manifestation. You put it on the side and you go on. Yeah, amazing conversation. I really love it. I have another question, which is a bit more tricky. I would like to know regarding the spirit, because as you know, I'm working also with them. And I had many beautiful things or messages in my life. What is the most incredible situation or message or situation you had with spirit?
Let me think. I think the most amazing message I ever had was when I was a full-time musician. I was asking myself, what's wrong with me? Why am I not enjoying performing as much as I used to? Why am I not enjoying touring? And it's as if I kept hearing these voices. You need to leave that aside now, do it part-time, and focus on your spiritual work, because I was always doing my spiritual work part-time. But because we have a mind with lots of thoughts and we have a logical reasoning mind, we don't say to ourselves, good idea. Thank you, spirit guides, for influencing me or inspiring me. That's right. I'm going to give up music as a career and start focusing on my spiritual career. No, we follow our comfort zone. We have our habits. So it took me a long time. In fact, I remember in 2008, I saved up my $400 to have a 30-minute reading with Sonia Choquette, who's got many spiritual books out. And I was so excited. I read all the books. I thought, wow, I can't believe I'm having a reading with the so-called famous Sonia Choquette. Anyway, for 30 minutes on the phone, first thing she says to me, do you work? I go, yeah. What do you do? She says, well, I'm a music lecturer at university part-time, and the rest of the week I do my spiritual work. She says, can you quit that job? So you must be joking. I need to pay my rent and my bills. And then for the
Yes.
rest of my reading, she starts telling me off, saying, I should be doing this full time. Any monkey could be teaching. I'm thinking, any monkey? I studied hard to become a university lecturer. And she says, you have no confidence in yourself, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, after the phone call, I was thinking, gosh, it felt like I got told off by a strict school teacher for 30 minutes. But, she was right. I didn't have any confidence. I had no self-esteem in myself. I didn't believe I could make a career in spiritual work. I thought it was only for the few select people who have these amazing stories. Oh, when I was 3 years old, I saw my grandfather at the edge of the bed every day. I never had an experience like that. So I thought, oh, well, maybe I won't be a medium. Or you hear about these other amazing people become so-called, quote, famous spiritual practitioners. I thought, oh, well, that's not me. I didn't have that experience. See, we judge, we compare ourselves to others instead of realizing we're all unique individuals. We can do whatever we want. We just need the guidance. We need to start working on it on a daily basis. And when I started following my intuition a lot more, because it's so easy to say, come on, Sabine, listen to your intuition. I can tell you so many stories when I didn't listen to it and I knew that it wasn't going to work out. And then later on, I said, oh, why was I so stupid? Why didn't I listen to that feeling or that impression I had? Nope. That logical reasoning mind would always interfere and say things like, oh, don't be so scared. Don't be so stupid. Well, energy, as I tell my clients, never lies. Whatever you do in life, ask yourself, how does that person or thing make you feel? And you've got your answer right there. Even though, let's say you're going for a job interview and go, whoa, oh, this is the perfect job. And then you go home and you say, I don't know what it is about that job. Something doesn't quite feel right. I mean, it sounds good. The interviews seem like good. Or if you're going to buy a house, for example, oh, that house is in our price range. I'd love to have that house. But then something doesn't feel right. You don't listen to that. You buy the house. 6 months later, you've got constant leakage somewhere in the house. Oh, no wonder I felt something wasn't right. Now I'm stuck with all this repair work and these bills to fix this leak that doesn't seem to go away. See, energy never lies. We're energetic beings. We're always being guided like a sat nav when we drive a car these days. And we all oh, turn left here, turn right there. Well, we
Yes.
have this inbuilt sat nav, but how many of us actually listen to it and work with it? I call it the TTP factor. It takes time, patience, and practice. TPP factor, because it takes time, patience, and practice to really become accustomed to listening and working with our intuition on a daily basis and not allowing ourselves to be influenced by other people who will express their fears, their limitation towards you. Oh no, Sabine, don't be so silly. Don't do that. It'll be the worst mistake. Well, it might be for them, but it's not for you because you've been guided to go a certain way. So we need to learn to become empowered, to believe in ourselves, to know that each and every one of us can truly have and manifest what we want. It doesn't mean it's going to happen maybe without lots of obstacles, but the journey, we will get to the end of the journey and there'll be growth, because as we try and succumb those obstacles, there's always growth and learning that happens. And then we're in a better position to help others who are maybe trying to go in that similar direction. But we've grown a lot, so we become a lot more aware. Oh, well, I know this obstacle, I can overcome it. And instead of reacting, we respond. And responding is like, okay, I've got a problem here. What's the best way to deal with it? Who can I talk to? Where can I do research? That's responding versus reacting, which gets us nowhere in life.
Yeah. 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 You mentioned the fear. Most of the time, those people that you were speaking about will project their own fear on you.
Yeah.
And this is like the old paradigm. And I remember my family was that type. But if you look back, this taught me a lot and it helped me to stand up for myself in my own life, especially embracing my calling or following my studies and everything, because those people are not in the same realm as you. Even if it's your parents, sometimes they think they are telling you the best, but somehow, sometimes it can be the worst if you listen to them, if you let them projecting their fear on you. And this is a situation that is still happening a lot. through friends, partners, and everything. And I want to say, for each one of us, is very important to learn how to stand up in your own power, and don't listen to the fear of others, or do not let others projecting their fear and beliefs on yourself. Yeah, what you mentioned is very interesting. Larry, would you like maybe to do a little demo? We still have time if you are open to do it. Any demo you want to do, feel free.
Well, maybe I'll give a little demo about learning about how do we manifest things in life. So the first thing we need to do is realize, as I said earlier, in 1934, Dr. Fleetman in Texas in America, he was a chiropractor. And as he was working on people and healing them, they would come back to him and always be unsatisfied. And he realized, that's weird. I'm working on them so they become healthy and they're still complaining. So he realized it wasn't the physical rehabilitation that was improving them. It was their mindset, their paradigms, their thoughts, their self-image that they hadn't changed, which was still making them feel miserable and not happy and successful or healthy and fit. So he came up with this brilliant concept called the stick person. He started saying, okay, does anyone know what the mind looks like? We're always talking about the mind. And people would start drawing pictures of the brain. The brain is a physical organ. We can physically see it. The mind is in all our being. The mind, or some people call it the universal mind, is in everything. Our fingernails, our skin, it's everywhere. So he very cleverly said, okay, I'm going to draw a picture to represent the mind. So he drew a round circle and he drew a line in the middle. The top part of the circle is the conscious mind. The bottom part is the subconscious mind. So then he started teaching his clients, whatever thought you have, there's only one place for it to go, is straight to the subconscious mind. And because, as I said earlier, the subconscious mind does not know what's true and what's not true, we should all be so excited and jumping up and down with joy, meaning, wow, if the subconscious mind doesn't know what's true and not true, why don't I give it the most amazing stories of what I truly want? And then bit by bit, I will start manifesting it. That's how easy it is. But what's hard is, are we going to be able to do this work on a daily basis? And we can get excited for a week or 2 or 3 weeks. Oh no, I just got laid off. Now, instead of focusing and doing the tools and techniques we were doing before, we allow the outside world, the circumstances, to influence us. So what happens? We got laid off. Oh no, how am I going to get a job? How am I going to pay my bills? That's negative thinking. That goes straight to the subconscious mind. The subconscious mind starts building pictures. Oh, can't get a job. I'm not going to make money. Those lack, limitation, fear, scarcity thoughts, and creating those pictures in the subconscious mind, it starts producing that vibration frequency of lack, scarcity. So we need to always, it doesn't matter what happens in the outside world. As you said, when you manifested your flat there, Sabine, and I've done that many times to manifest my flats in London, is, okay, what images are you constantly focusing on? So a good technique to do is, if you set a timer on your watch or on your phone, as soon as you get up, let's say you get up at 7 a.m., you set it for 2 hours. And every 2 hours when that timer goes off, you ask yourself, okay, from the past 2 hours, was I actually focusing here and there and being emotionally involved in my goal that I want to manifest? Or did I not even think about anything that I truly want? And I've just been thinking about all the stress and negative information in front of me. So whatever you were thinking, you give yourself an affirmation for 60 seconds of what it is you want. So you could start the affirmation with, I am truly grateful and happy now that, and then you put your statement in there. What is it you truly want? Because when we show gratitude for things we don't have, that's the beginning of realigning our vibrational frequency and trusting in ourselves and the universe. Okay, I don't have this right now, but I know if I show gratitude for whatever it is I want, even though I don't physically have it yet, it's just a matter of time before it comes to us. So if we do that throughout the day for 12 hours, for example, every 2 hours when that timer goes off, if you can do that, if not every 3 or 4 hours, and you ask yourself, gosh, was I actually emotionally involved with my goal at any point? Or did I have that habit, which we all have? Oh, I got to deal with this. I got to deal with that. And we're dealing with problems. But nowhere between that 2, 3, 4 hours were we allocating time to be emotionally involved with what we truly want. Because when we become emotionally involved with what we want, because most of us allow ourselves to become emotionally involved in what we don't want, and then we wonder why we get more of what we don't want. The same
Right.
kind of people that don't treat us well or bad opportunities. So that's a beautiful technique right there. And another beautiful technique, GOAL, goal, your goal card. You can get a white index card that students use to study. And what you do, your first statement you write down is, I am so happy and grateful now that. So that's your first sentence. I am so happy and grateful now that. Sentence number 2, you write the goal you want. For example, I am so happy and grateful now that I'm in a healthy, loving relationship. And then you put, for example, a target date. For example, April 23rd, 2024. The target date is just a rough realization. Like when planting a seed, we don't know exactly when a seed might come to be, but we have a rough idea. And what we do with that goal card, we read it out loud as often as we can, and we keep it on us, whether it's in our pocket, our purse, our wallet. And every time we touch it, it imprints that statement in the conscious mind. And as it does that, that statement goes from the conscious mind to the subconscious mind, which gets to work right away, creating those pictures of what's on your goal card. And that starts creating that vibrational frequency here. And when you do that every single day, we don't know how, when, but bit by bit, gradually, you'll start achieving and manifesting what's on that goal card. I'll never forget once I had this gentleman, he dropped out of school at the age of 14. So of course he was what's called uneducated. And all he could get was works in bars and pubs. And of course he was always in debt, not making much money. So he tried this technique and he gave himself 10 years to become a millionaire. So as he's doing this technique with the gold card, he's reading it out loud, brought it in his pocket, touching it all the time. And he said, well, what have I got to lose? I don't believe in this, but let's just see if it works. He did it. Within 6 months, he couldn't believe it. No, within a year, instead of 10 years, within a year, he became a millionaire because what he did, he saw an advertisement to buy a second-hand cleaning machine to clean offices. He thought, gosh, I'm fed up of working in these bars. I think I'll do that instead. He bought a cleaning machine. Within a week or two of cleaning one office building, they started recommending him to other office buildings. Within a month, they started recommending him to so many office buildings. He couldn't do all the work himself. He had to borrow more money from the bank to buy another cleaning machine, hire more staff. And then they started recommending him to work in different cities, not just the city he was in. He ended up working in London, Toronto, New York. He couldn't believe it. Oh my God. So of course he ended up forming his own cleaning business. And then he realized after a year, oh my gosh, whatever I had on my gold card, I manifested that in 1 year, not 10 years. And he thought, either I got lucky or this stuff really works. He says, I'm going to start sharing this with other people. I said, that's good because information is meant to be shared. We're not meant to hoard it. So he says,
Right.
let's see if this works for other people. So of course he started telling other people, hey, why don't you try this technique that I tried? And he did. And he said, wow, it's working for other people as well. He said, this is unbelievable. How can this be? Anyway, the simple answer, how can it be? It goes back to whatever's in the conscious mind goes straight to the subconscious mind. And because the subconscious mind does not know what's true and what's not true, it believes whatever you give it. So why not feed it information of what you truly want and not what you don't want? And as you said earlier, Sabine, it's so easy to get caught up and complain about what doesn't make us happy. But that's the challenge as a human being. No. That's, even though I don't have this, or I'm unemployed, or I'm struggling financially, or I'm not in a relationship, we tell ourselves, well, that's for now, but I know that's not going to be like that for much longer. You see? And as we practice that technique called the gold card technique, you and everyone else who tries it will be pleasantly surprised and, wow, the first thing most people say is, I don't know why I'm starting to feel different. Well, that's because your vibrational frequency is starting to change. And when it starts to change, that's the first thing that happens. You start feeling a bit more positive, more motivated, enthused, energized. Because when we're vibrating at a higher frequency, of course, we feel like, wow, I don't know why I'm feeling really good today. Well, that's because our vibration is changing. So as we practice this simple technique, the gold card, and it can work for anybody. For students, for example, maybe they are focusing, they need to get better grades. When they say, I'm so happy and grateful now that I'm excelling at all my subjects, whatever it is they need, and put a target date, June 15th, 2024. They read it out loud as often as they can. For example, I travel all across Europe and everywhere giving my workshop, etc. I always have a gold card with me. So I'm at the airport, on a plane, I just touch it. Or if no one's around me, I just, oh yeah, and I just mumble it out loud. I'm so happy and grateful now that. And some people see me on the plane might think, what's that nutcase doing? Look at that little card.
Yeah, what the heck is doing?
That's right.
Yeah.
So I know for myself, because I've experienced it, I've seen so many clients drastically improve their lives by using this one technique. So that's a beautiful technique right there, the gold card technique. And as I said, putting a timer on your phone or your watch for every 2 hours from the time you wake up, and ask yourself, oh, what was I thinking about for the last 2 hours? Did I actually have some time where I actually allowed myself to be emotionally involved in my goal that I want? Because again, there's only two things we need to achieve anything in life. We need one, to learn to discipline the mind, and two, we need to learn to develop and adopt good behaviors. So when we discipline the mind, it means what thoughts are we constantly thinking about? And two, behaviors. What are we doing? For example, the gold card technique, the technique with the timer on the phone or the watch. That's starting to change and develop, adopt different behaviors that will allow us to start, no matter what's happening in the outside world, to stay focused like a horse who's got blinders on in a race. It doesn't go left or right. It just keeps running straight as fast as it can because that's all it can see. It's got the blinders on. So if we have these blinders on of like nothing of the only the images we want, we'll be able to manifest and accelerate like that racehorse a lot faster than taking 2 steps forward, 1 step back, a bit like playing mental tennis. Oh, I'm feeling really good. This is brilliant. 2 weeks later, oh no, I got a setback. And then we don't do any work. Oh, I think I'll try this again. So like mental tennis, sometimes we win a match, sometimes we don't. But we have to catch ourselves, be accountable, be what I call a personal detective. Aha, what were your thought process throughout the entire day? So that's a mini lesson in a nutshell, we could say.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much for that explanation. I think it's very, very useful for each and everyone who is watching us now. Larry, do you have a last word for today or a wish that you would like to share with our audience?
Yep. First of all, always focus on what you want. It doesn't matter what you see on the news or what you've been told. The universe doesn't care what's on the news. The universe only gives you exactly what you're vibrating on a daily basis. And it's our personal responsibility. What can you do to allow yourself to feel good? Because when you feel good or do things that make you feel good, it's only natural that elevates and raises your vibrational frequency. So for myself, people always say, well, what do you do that makes you feel good? Well, for example, I still love playing my instruments, buying music books, learning music. I love drawing cartoons. I love doing my meditation. I love doing my yoga. I love reading inspiring books on spiritual subjects. I love seeing people's perspectives on how they went from point A to point B. So that's a lot of things that for me make me feel good. I love watching comedies on in movies or TV, and I love eating the food I like to eat, socializing with people, feeling inspired by people. Think, wow, I've never done that. I wonder how I could do that. So that's all the little elements that make me feel good on a daily basis. So I would say, as an assignment to your listeners, ask yourself and start finding out if you don't know what makes you feel good. It could be something you used to do years ago, or maybe it's something you haven't explored yet and you learn something. Oh, this, I really love this. I didn't know I'd enjoy this so much. You see, so always find out and do things that make you feel good, and always stay focused on what you truly want, and don't allow yourself to succumb to what's called the so-called um, obstacles or so-called negative scenarios that are happening in your life currently at the moment.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Where can we find you? Do you have a website? How can we contact you, Larry?
Well, my website is larrymedium.com. So that's larrymedium.com. And on there, you have all the information on the services I offer, an email address, etc., etc. So you can just find me on there if people like.
Do you have an Instagram, Facebook, where we can find you?
Yeah, I am on Instagram and Facebook. Facebook is just Larry David's Medium. And also my Instagram page and Facebook page is on my website, so they could just click on the little icon there. Instead of them doing a search or typing up, they just go to larrymedium.com, and they'll see right at the top, I believe, a little Facebook icon or Instagram icon. Just click on that, and voila, it takes you right to that page.
Okay, great. I will share all those information in the description below the video. Thanks everyone for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe and ring the bell to receive the notification. Then you will be the first to be informed about a new episode coming. I would love to hear from you any comment, any special request you would have, or any subject you would love that we speak about. Please send me a message or an email, and I will do my best to bring on this podcast the people who are the expert in the subject that you would love to speak about. Much love to everyone, and thank you for watching. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.